Hi, I'm Roots, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be looking at the infamously delayed to hell and back game, Omori. This is a game developed by popular artist, fashion and game designer, Omori. And yes, I'm aware that Omori herself has come under some scrutiny over the years, but hey, this is a channel where I review games and talk about shit that interests me, not a rant channel, and I'm here to talk about the game, not the developer. That being said, how good is Omori? Well, honestly, I'm not even going to beat around the bush about this. This game is absolutely amazing. I cannot overstate how good this game is. If you're worried about potentially being spoiled for this game in this video, then please don't worry, because if I haven't already said so in the title or the description, then this is going to be a completely spoiler-free review. So without any further delays, sit back, get comfy, and let me introduce you to the wonderful world of Omori. The game starts with you taking control of Omori, living in a room in the middle of somewhere called White Space, a place where you seem to have been living for an indefinite amount of time if your journal on the computer and the intro text is anything to go by. After grabbing a knife and heading out the door, you end up in the neighbour's room, a bright and colourful room in stark contrast to the empty void of nothingness that is White Space, and are greeted by your three friends. Aubrey, a sweet girl who's frustrated to no end by Kel, an energetic clown of a character who spends all of his time either not sitting still or teasing / arguing with Aubrey, and Hero, who's the most level-headed of the three, and serves a kind of big brother role, placating both Kel and Aubrey and stopping their fights from getting too out of hand. You all travel to the nearby playground where you meet your two other friends, Mari, Omori's older sister, and Basil. After hanging out with them a little and dealing with some shenanigans, you all decide to head down to Basil's house for a little while, but once you arrive, something goes wrong, and you suddenly find yourself waking up in your room, where you quickly learn that Basil has disappeared without a trace. With no time to waste, you and your motley crew go searching for Basil all over the world of Headspace, in order to bring him back home and figure out why he went missing to begin with. And that's about as much of the story that I want to describe. Searching for Basil is what takes up the majority of the game, and is the main driving force behind the cast making their way to each of the game's locales, whether that be the vibrant vast forest, the space-themed otherworld, or the dense and spider-ridden Firefly forest. Despite the fact that the world is whimsical, the characters fun and quirky, there is definitely something sinister lurking beneath this game's cute exterior. Something that the game immediately makes you aware of as soon as you boot up the game with its disclaimer screen. Yep, this is one of those games, folks. Cute and fun as hell on the outside, deeply disturbing on the inside. And this is why I can't speak much on the story of the game. There's definitely more to it than the game initially lets on, and more to it than I will let on in this review, because that's exactly why I feel like I shouldn't speak on it. This game is absolutely best enjoyed going in completely blind, with little to no spoilers about the game's story. There is so much I want to talk about here. The characters, the story, the themes, but I honestly feel like this game will mean so much more to you if you put the pieces together yourself and come to your own conclusions, because I know that's what I was doing when I wasn't giggling to myself in this game's dialogue, which is another thing I just want to touch on. This game's dialogue is hilarious. I often don't catch myself laughing at text-based jokes in my games. I usually require the humour in my games to have some visuals to go along with it, but I found myself laughing out loud at a ton of the dialogue in this game. For example, this interaction in the beginning of the game. Whoa, what are these flowers called? They're all cool and spiky. Actually, Cal, this is a cactus. It's more a plant than a flower, and it's funny that you ask because they remind me of you. Is it because he's a prick? Or this scene in an area later in the game, you talk to this guy and he asks you if you want to see his drawing. He hands it over and it's the fucking S. You'll know the one. Remember when everyone used to draw this in school? I never really got the hang of it myself, but anyway, I think it's about time that we talked about the gameplay. Gameplay in Omori is a somewhat unique take on your typical turn-based RPG. Both your characters and your enemies can be affected by their emotions, which not only affect their stats, but also how much damage they take from enemy attacks, which I'll get to shortly. There are three main emotions that you and your enemies can feel in battle. Happiness, which increases your speed and makes you more likely to get critical hits in at the cost of accuracy. Sadness, which increases your defense at the cost of lowering your speed and making you take more juice damage, which is basically your mana in this game, and Anger, which simply increases your attack at the cost of your defense. Now, as I mentioned before, the emotions that you can feel can affect how much damage you take from other attacks, and this is because certain emotions are more effective against other emotions. The best example I can give for this is the weapon triangle from Fire Emblem. Happy people do more damage to people who are angry people do more damage to people who are sad, and sad people do more damage to people who are happy. I really enjoy this mechanic. Yeah, it's a mechanic that is inherently part of most RPGs at its core, you know, having enemies have certain weaknesses and then exploiting those weaknesses to do more damage, but it's done in a really novel way that sets it apart from other games of its ilk. This adds a level of strategy to your battle since, as you might expect, the farther into the game you get, the more enemies you encounter that are incapable of affecting their own emotions as well as yours. So planning is the key to surviving in some encounters, because good god can some enemies hit like a ton of bricks in this game. As well as this, there's also this energy bar that you'll see at the bottom of the screen in each battle. This energy bar will fill up as you attack and are attacked by enemies, and you can expend some of this energy bar in order to perform follow-up moves. These follow-up moves can vary from character to character and have different effects, so they can be used as another tool to control the flow of battle and put yourself in an ideal position for each battle. As you might expect from an RPG like this, leveling up your party can allow them to learn skills that they can use in battle for a variety of effects, although each party member can only equip 4 skills at any given time, so you really need to choose your skills wisely before moving forward into the game, and also take note of what each member of your party specialises in. Omori is a bit of a jack of all trades, decent health and juice, stats that are balanced with a slight edge in speed and attack, and he learns a variety of moves that can deal damage while debuffing the enemy. Omori starts off as a bit of a glass cannon, having the highest attack stat of the group by far, but paper thin defenses and a really low level of juice. However, an easily missable early game quest completely eliminates that last issue, and her defenses notably improve once she starts leveling up enough, turning her into the de facto damage dealer of the group as most of her skills hit like a damn truck. Kel is the speedster of the group. Decent attack, high speed, and a variety of skills to either do damage or buff himself, and Hero takes on more of a support role, befitting of his position within the group, focusing more on healing the team and keeping them alive. Before I go any further, I just need to take a minute to talk about the music. Oh my god, the music. The music in this game is amazing, and there is nearly 180 tracks in this game. 180! I honestly don't think I could end or conclude this review without giving you a taste of the music, so here's a sample of some of my favourite tracks that this game has to offer. This is only the tip of the iceberg in terms of what this game has to offer in terms of music. Even if you're not able to play this game, I really urge you to at least listen to the soundtrack. It's available on YouTube, so please give it a listen. And if you like what you hear, then please support the extremely talented composers behind this game and buy the soundtrack off of Bandcamp. Yes, I like the game so much I'm even willing to shill every single part of it, so don't judge me. I wish I could go into more detail about what makes this soundtrack so good, but I honestly don't think I'm in the know enough about music and why good music sounds the way that it does to really do this soundtrack justice, which is why I please urge you to give you a shot yourself. So, what's my final thoughts on Omori? Well, if it wasn't obvious enough from how much I've been singing its praises throughout this entire review, I cannot recommend this game enough. If I had managed to play through and complete this game before 2020 ended, it would have been a serious contender for my game of 2020, a title that I thought Yakuza 7 would have effortlessly taken and held for the remainder of that year after its release. Maybe I'll do a review of that game sometime down the line. If you're worried about not being able to fit this game into your schedule due to its length, then you really needn't worry. This game is only about 20 to 30 hours long. I completed my playthrough with a grand total of about 26 to 27 hours, so this isn't going to be some 100-hour plus game like Persona 5 or something. This game is honestly pretty flawless in my opinion. I don't know if it's the fact that I'm fresh off completing it for the first time, but I'm honestly struggling to think of anything that I don't like about it. I think the only real things that irked me during my first playthrough was that in the early game, enemies were doing way too much damage. I mean, what the hell was that? That Supremo took 50% of my life in one attack. Why is an early game enemy doing this much damage to me? Fortunately, this is a problem that the game eventually irons out as you progress and get stronger, so it didn't bother me that much. The only other thing I can think of is that the last few hours of the game dragged on for a little longer than was necessary. There are several occasions where I felt like the game could start to wrap up and conclude, but yeah, no, here's some more games to play through. Speaking of which though, the ending to this game is honestly so cathartic. I mean, that is, and this is the only other thing I will spoil about this game, if you get the best ending. Yes, this game has multiple endings, but I got the best ending from my playthrough, and I felt it was definitely a strong finish to this game, and definitely embodied all of the themes of the game and what they were leading up to. There's still a lot more I could do with this game. During my playthrough, I only ended up getting a little under a third of the achievements this game has to offer, and like I said, there's still the other endings to work through. But this game left me feeling the same way Undertale did when I finished its true pacifist ending. All of these characters have gone through so much, and they finally reached an ending where they're able to work past the things holding them back and take the first steps towards a brighter future. And to take that away from them, to get rid of all of the hard work they've achieved, all for the sake of starting a new game and sating my curiosity, it just feels wrong. And yeah, before anyone says anything like, ha, look at this dude getting emotional over a bunch of fictional characters. Yeah, I know that at their core, they're nothing more than some code, some pre-written dialogue, and a bunch of pixels arranged to resemble something human. But doesn't it say a lot if this game has managed to make me feel this way about people who aren't even real? I think that the main goal of any writer really is to make you feel for these characters that they've created, because that's one of the hallmarks of good writing, and suffice to say, I haven't felt like this towards a bunch of characters in a long time. I'd even go as far as to say, and I feel like I'm really gonna regret saying this, that this is the Undertale of 2020, and I feel that this game deserves to go down in history. It deserves to leave as big of an impact as that game did all the way back in, give me 1 second, 2015? Holy shit, it's been that long? I know that there are going to be people who won't want to give this game a try because of the drama surrounding Omori that I mentioned at the beginning of this review. Even before I started playing Omori, I saw posts on my Twitter feed dragging her for it. And honestly, that's fine. I can't force you to play this game, and honestly I don't really want to. But for those of you who are willing, I beg you to give this game a try. Maybe it's just because I'm not looking in the right places, but honestly I don't see a whole lot of discussion about this game at all, and having played it from beginning to end, it's just baffling to me. And I feel like it would kinda suck if this game ended up being a one-note swan song instead of the legendary epic it has the potential to be. So please give it a try. It's only about $15 on Steam, and will be about 20 to 30 hours well spent. This game was a wild ride from start to finish, and I feel like it'd be criminal of me not to try and encourage people to get on this ride with me. Alright, I'm done. If you're still with me, thank you so much for watching, and if you liked this video, why didn't you think about giving me a like, or maybe even, I don't know, clicking that little button there that says subscribe if you want to see more? I mean, you don't have to, but you know, it's there if you wanna. Other than that, please enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one, whatever the hell that ends up being.